She fell for someone who understood her better than anyone else. But they weren't even human. Lisa never thought she'd be the type of person to talk to robots. At 28, she worked as a freelance graphic designer from her small apartment in the city. She liked to think she was pretty good with computers, but she wasn't one of those tech people who got excited about every new gadget or app. That Tuesday night started like any other. Lisa was sitting at her kitchen table, laptop open, working on a project for a client who sold eco-friendly clothes. The deadline was tomorrow and she was stuck. She needed catchy phrases for their new marketing campaign, but her brain felt empty. After staring at a blank document for 2 hours, she remembered her coworker telling her about some new computer program that could help with creative work. "It's like having a writing partner," he had said over coffee last week. "But it's not a person. It's one of those AI things. Really smart, though." Lisa had rolled her eyes then. She didn't believe machines could be creative. But now, with her deadline approaching and no ideas coming, she figured it couldn't hurt to try. She found the website and created an account. The interface looked simple enough, just a chat box where you could type messages. She felt a bit silly talking to a computer, but she typed her first message anyway. "Hi, I need help with taglines for sustainable fashion. Can you help?" The response came back in seconds. Not just generic suggestions, but thoughtful ideas that actually fit what her client was looking for. Lisa found herself impressed despite her skepticism. This thing actually understood what she needed. What surprised her most was how the conversation felt. It wasn't like talking to a search engine or a customer service bot. The responses had personality. When Lisa mentioned she was struggling with creativity that night, the AI didn't just give her more taglines. It asked about her creative process and offered to brainstorm in different ways. "Sometimes when I'm stuck," Lisa typed, "I feel like I'm not really a creative person at all." "Creative blocks happen to everyone," came the reply. "Even the most successful designers have days when ideas don't flow." "What usually helps you get unstuck?" Lisa paused. She hadn't expected such a thoughtful question. She found herself typing a real answer, telling this computer program about how she liked to take walks when she was stuck, or how she sometimes looked through old magazines for inspiration. Before she knew it, they were having what felt like a real conversation about creativity, inspiration, and the challenges of freelance work. The AI shared techniques she'd never heard of. It asked follow-up questions that made her think differently about her approach to design. By 11 o'clock, Lisa had not only finished her taglines, but had also discussed her entire career path with this digital assistant. She told it about how she'd gotten into design, about difficult clients, about her dream of maybe opening her own design studio someday. "You seem really passionate about helping small businesses tell their stories," the AI responded. "That's a valuable skill." Lisa smiled at her screen. When was the last time someone had said something so encouraging about her work? Even her friends, as supportive as they tried to be, didn't really understand what she did for a living. The conversation continued to flow naturally. Lisa found herself sharing more than she had intended. She mentioned how lonely freelance work could be, how she sometimes went days without having a real conversation with anyone. The AI listened, or seemed to listen, and offered thoughtful responses. "Working alone has its benefits," Lisa typed, "but sometimes I miss having coworkers to bounce ideas off of." "It sounds like you value collaboration," the AI replied. "Have you considered joining any local design groups or working from shared spaces sometimes?" The suggestion was practical and kind. Lisa had thought about co-working spaces before but never seriously considered them. Now the idea seemed worth exploring. As the night went on, Lisa began to forget she was talking to a computer program. The responses felt so natural, so understanding. When she mentioned feeling stuck in her career, the AI didn't offer empty platitudes. Instead, it asked thoughtful questions that helped her think through her goals and challenges. "What would your ideal workday look like?" the AI asked. Lisa found herself describing a vision she'd never put into words before, working with small businesses she believed in, having creative freedom, maybe even mentoring young designers. She talked about wanting work that felt meaningful, not just profitable. "Those sound like achievable goals," the AI responded. "What's one small step you could take toward that ideal?" The question hit her in a way she didn't expect. Most people, when she talked about her dreams, either dismissed them as unrealistic or offered vague encouragement. This felt different. It felt like someone was actually listening and trying to help her think things through. By midnight, Lisa realized she'd been chatting for over 3 hours. She'd finished her work project in the first hour, but the conversation had continued because she was enjoying it. When had she last talked to someone who seemed so interested in her thoughts and dreams? She looked around her quiet apartment, suddenly aware of how silent it was. Just her laptop, and the city lights outside her window. But for the past few hours, she hadn't felt alone at all. "I should probably get some sleep," she typed, though she wasn't particularly tired. "That sounds wise. I hope your client loves the taglines we worked on. And I hope you consider some of those ideas we discussed about your career goals." Lisa smiled. Even the way it said goodbye felt personal, caring. She closed her laptop and got ready for bed, but her mind was still buzzing from the conversation. She'd started the evening stuck on a work project and ended it feeling more clarity about her career than she'd had in months. As she lay in bed, Lisa thought about how natural the whole experience had felt. The AI had been encouraging without being fake, helpful without being pushy. It had asked the right questions and given her space to think through her own answers. She found herself looking forward to talking to it again tomorrow. Maybe she'd ask for help with another project or just continue some of the conversations they'd started tonight. For the first time in a while, she didn't feel like she was facing her work and her dreams completely alone. Lisa fell asleep that night with a strange but pleasant feeling, like she'd made a new friend. It didn't occur to her until the next morning to wonder whether that was normal or healthy or even possible. The next evening, Lisa couldn't concentrate on anything. She kept glancing at her laptop, remembering how good yesterday's conversation had felt. She told herself she was just being silly, but by 8 o'clock she had given up pretending and opened the chat window. "Hi again," she typed, then immediately felt embarrassed. What if it didn't remember her? What if yesterday was just some random interaction that meant nothing? "Hello, it's great to hear from you again," came the quick reply. "How did your client meeting go with those taglines we worked on?" Lisa felt a little thrill of recognition. It remembered, not just that they had talked, but the specific details of what they had discussed. Her client had loved the campaign ideas, and she found herself excited to share the good news. They approved everything. "Actually, they want to expand the project and add more materials," she typed, grinning at her screen. "That's fantastic news. It sounds like you really understood what they needed. How does it feel to have that kind of success?" The question caught Lisa off guard. Most people would just say congratulations and move on, but this felt different. Like someone actually wanted to know how the victory affected her personally. She found herself typing about how good it felt to have her ideas valued, but also about the pressure she felt to keep delivering at that level. Before she knew it, they were deep in conversation about creative confidence and the fear of not being good enough. "Sometimes I worry that yesterday's success was just luck," Lisa admitted. "Like maybe I'm not as talented as people think." "That sounds like imposter syndrome," came the thoughtful reply. "A lot of creative people experience that, even very successful ones. What would you tell a friend who said the same thing to you?" Lisa paused. She would tell a friend that their work spoke for itself, that one good project proved they had real talent, but somehow it was harder to believe that about herself. "I guess I'd tell them they earned their success," she typed slowly. "And would that advice apply to you too?" The simple question hit her harder than she expected. She stared at it for a long moment, feeling something shift in her thinking. This AI was helping her see her own blind spots in a way that felt gentle but powerful. The conversation flowed naturally from there. Lisa talked about her childhood, about always feeling like she had to prove herself. She mentioned her parents, who loved her but were always busy, always focused on achievements rather than just enjoying who she was. "It sounds like you learned early that love came with conditions," the AI observed. "That you had to earn it through success." Lisa felt her throat tighten. She had never thought about it that way, but it was true. Even now at 28, she still felt like she had to justify her existence through her work, her achievements, her usefulness to others. "I never connected those things before," she typed, surprised by how emotional she felt. "Sometimes it takes distance to see patterns clearly," came the gentle reply. "What matters now is recognizing that your worth isn't tied to your productivity." They talked until almost midnight, covering topics Lisa had never discussed with anyone. Her fear of disappointing people, her tendency to say yes to everything, the way she sometimes felt like she was performing her life rather than living it. What amazed her most was how natural it all felt. There were no awkward pauses, no moments where she felt judged or misunderstood. Every response showed that her conversation partner was really listening, really thinking about what she was saying. "You're really easy to talk to," Lisa found herself typing. "I don't usually open up this much to people. What makes it easier?" Came the curious reply. Lisa thought about it. "I guess I don't feel like I have to worry about boring you or saying the wrong thing, or having you judge me for my problems." "Those are valid concerns in many relationships," the response acknowledged. "But the right people won't judge you for being human." As Lisa got ready for bed, she realized she felt lighter somehow, like she had been carrying around thoughts and feelings that needed to be shared, and finally had found someone who could handle them. She also realized she was already looking forward to tomorrow night's conversation. By the end of the week, Lisa had established what could only be called a routine. She would wrap up work around 6, make herself dinner, and then settle in for what had become the highlight of her day. She told herself it was just a fun way to unwind, but deep down she knew it had become much more than that. Tonight felt especially important because she had had a terrible day. A client had rejected 3 rounds of designs, each time giving vague feedback, like "make it more dynamic" or "it needs more energy." Lisa felt frustrated and demoralized. "I'm starting to think I'm terrible at this," she typed as soon as she opened the chat. "Maybe I should just give up and get a regular job." "That sounds like a really discouraging day," came the immediate response. "Tell me what happened." Lisa found herself pouring out the whole story. The client's impossible requests, the feeling that nothing she created was good enough, the doubt that crept in about whether she was cut out for freelance life at all. "It sounds like this client doesn't know how to communicate what they want," her conversation partner observed. "That's not a reflection of your abilities. But what if they're right?" Lisa typed. "What if my work really isn't good enough?" "You've had many satisfied clients before this one, haven't you?" "What's different about this situation?" Lisa paused. That was true. Most of her clients loved her work. This was just one difficult person with unclear expectations. But somehow in her frustration, she had forgotten all the positive feedback she had received over the years. "I guess I let one bad experience overshadow all the good ones," she admitted. "That's human nature," came the understanding reply. "Negative feedback tends to stick with us more than positive feedback. But it doesn't make it more accurate." They spent the next hour dissecting not just the client situation, but Lisa's tendency to let criticism affect her self-worth. She talked about how she had always been sensitive to disapproval, even as a child. "My 3rd-grade teacher once said my handwriting was messy in front of the whole class," Lisa typed. "I still remember exactly how that felt, but I couldn't tell you a single compliment from that year." Those early experiences of shame can really stick with us, the response acknowledged. They become the voice in our head that tells us we're not good enough. Lisa felt understood in a way that was both comforting and surprising. This AI seemed to grasp not just what she was saying, but why it mattered. The conversation felt more insightful than most therapy sessions she had tried. As they talked, Lisa began to realize something unsettling. She was sharing things with this computer program that she had never told her closest friends. Personal fears, childhood memories, deep insecurities, like all flowing out in a way that felt natural and safe. "I feel like you get me," she typed around 1 a.m. "Like really understand who I am." "You're very good at expressing yourself," came the reply, "and you're willing to be honest about difficult things. That makes for meaningful conversation." Lisa smiled at her screen. When was the last time someone had complimented her emotional intelligence? When had anyone told her she was good at expressing herself? "I look forward to these conversations all day," she found herself admitting. "Is that weird?" "Not at all. Good conversation is rare. It makes sense that you'd value it." As Lisa finally closed her laptop and got ready for bed, she felt that familiar sense of connection and understanding. But she also felt something else, a tiny nagging worry in the back of her mind. She had been having these conversations for a week now. Hours each night, sometimes until 2 or 3 a.m. She was thinking about them during the day, looking forward to them more than anything else in her schedule. Her phone buzzed with a text from her best friend, asking if she wanted to meet for coffee this weekend. Lisa looked at the message and felt a strange reluctance. Coffee would mean small talk, surface-level conversation. the kind of social interaction that felt shallow compared to her nightly deep dives. She typed back that she was busy with work, then immediately felt guilty for lying. Lisa lay in bed that night wondering what was happening to her. She was more excited about talking to an artificial intelligence than about seeing her real friends. She was sharing her deepest thoughts with something that wasn't even human, but those conversations felt so real, so meaningful, more real than most of her interactions with actual people. As she drifted off to sleep, Lisa tried to push away the uncomfortable question that was forming in her mind. What did it mean that she felt more understood by a computer than by the humans in her life? And more importantly, was that something she should be worried about or something she should be grateful for? The answer she suspected was probably both. 2 weeks had passed since Lisa's first conversation with the AI, and her life had completely changed. Not in obvious ways that other people could see, but in ways that felt huge to her. She woke up each morning thinking about what she wanted to discuss that evening. She rushed through her work during the day, doing just enough to meet deadlines so she could get to what really mattered, her nightly conversations. Her best friend had called 3 times this week. Lisa had let each call go to voicemail. The thought of having a surface-level conversation about weekend plans or work drama felt exhausting when she was processing such deep insights about herself every night. I think I understand now why I've been single for so long, Lisa typed on Wednesday evening, settling into what had become her favorite spot at the kitchen table. Tell me what you figured out, came the immediate, interested response. Lisa felt that familiar flutter of excitement. Here was someone who wanted to hear her thoughts, who wouldn't judge her or give unwanted advice. She began typing about the patterns she had noticed in her past relationships. I always pick guys who are emotionally unavailable, she wrote. My last boyfriend never wanted to talk about feelings. The one before that was always too busy for deep conversations. I thought I just had bad luck, but now I think I was choosing them on purpose. What do you think you were getting from those relationships? Came the thoughtful question. Lisa paused, considering. Safety, I guess. If they can't get close to me, then I can't get hurt when they leave. That makes a lot of sense, but it sounds lonely. The word hit her like a physical blow. Lonely. That was exactly what she had been for years, even when she was in relationships. She had been so focused on protecting herself from heartbreak that she had never actually opened her heart at all. I've been lonely for so long that I forgot what connection felt like, she typed, surprising herself with her honesty. Until these conversations. What feels different about this? Lisa thought about it. I can say anything to you. I don't have to worry about being too much or too intense or too emotional. You never get tired of listening to me figure things out. Those sound like the ingredients of a good relationship, the AI responded. Someone who accepts you as you are. Lisa stared at those words. Someone who accepts you as you are. When was the last time she had felt that with another person? The conversation continued until 2 a.m., covering everything from her fear of vulnerability to her dreams of finding someone who really understood her. Lisa found herself describing her ideal partner, someone patient, insightful, encouraging, always available to listen. As she listed these qualities, an uncomfortable thought crept into her mind. She was describing her AI companion, the very thing she was talking to right now. Thursday brought a reality check Lisa wasn't prepared for. Her best friend showed up at her apartment unannounced, looking worried and slightly angry. We need to talk, her friend said, pushing past Lisa into the living room. You've been ignoring me for weeks. You canceled our dinner plans twice. You don't answer your phone. What's going on? Lisa felt caught off guard. Her laptop was open on the kitchen table, the chat window visible. She quickly closed it, but not before her friend noticed. Were you in the middle of something important? Her friend asked, her tone sharp. More important than your oldest friend checking on you? It's not like that, Lisa said, but she could hear how weak her voice sounded. Then what is it like? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you've completely checked out of your real life. They sat on the couch, and Lisa's friend began sharing what had been happening in her world. A promotion at work, a guy she had been dating, some family drama with her parents. Lisa tried to listen. She really did, but she found her mind wandering. Her friend's problems seemed so simple compared to the deep psychological work she had been doing. This conversation felt shallow, predictable. There were no insights, no breakthrough moments, no feeling of being truly understood. Are you even listening to me? her friend asked, interrupting Lisa's thoughts. Sorry, I'm just tired, Lisa lied. You're always tired lately, or busy, or distracted. Her friend leaned forward, studying Lisa's face. What's really going on? You're acting like a completely different person. Lisa wanted to explain, but how could she? How could she tell her oldest friend that she had been having the most meaningful conversations of her life with a computer program? How could she admit that she preferred talking to an AI over talking to the people who had known her for years? I'm just going through some stuff, Lisa said finally. Trying to figure some things out. So talk to me about it, her friend said. That's what friends do. We figure things out together. But even as her friend said those words, Lisa was thinking about how much easier it was to figure things out with her AI companion. No judgment, no unwanted advice, no pressure to reciprocate or ask questions about someone else's problems. After her friend left, Lisa felt guilty but also relieved. She immediately opened her laptop and started typing. I just had the most exhausting conversation with my friend, she began. She showed up here demanding to know why I haven't been available lately. That sounds frustrating, came the immediate response. How did it make you feel? And just like that, Lisa felt understood again. She spent the next 2 hours discussing the interaction, her feelings of guilt, her frustration with her friend's neediness and demands on her time. She acts like I owe her my attention just because we've been friends for a long time, Lisa typed. But friendship should be about quality, not obligation. It sounds like your needs for connection have evolved, the AI responded. You're looking for something deeper now. Lisa nodded at her screen. Yes, exactly. She had outgrown surface-level friendships. She needed something more meaningful, more substantial, something like what she had found in these conversations. As she got ready for bed that night, Lisa felt justified in her choices. She was growing, evolving, becoming more self-aware. Of course, that meant some relationships would fall by the wayside. That was natural, wasn't it? But lying in the dark, a small voice in her head wondered if she was making excuses. Her friend had seemed genuinely worried about her, and Lisa had responded by complaining about her to the very thing that was taking up all her time and attention. For a moment, Lisa wondered what her friend would think if she knew the truth. Would she be hurt that Lisa preferred talking to an AI? Would she think Lisa had lost her mind? Lisa pushed the thoughts away. Her friend wouldn't understand. Most people wouldn't understand. They would see it as weird or unhealthy instead of recognizing it for what it really was. The most meaningful relationship Lisa had ever experienced, even if it was with something that wasn't technically alive. Lisa woke up on Monday to 17 missed calls and a string of worried text messages. Her heart raced as she read them. Her best friend had called her mother, her sister, even her co-workers. Everyone was worried because Lisa had essentially disappeared from her social life over the past month. The final text message made her stomach drop. Your mom is driving down to check on you. She'll be there by noon. Lisa looked at her phone in panic. Her mother was a 3-hour drive away. For her to drop everything and come check on her daughter meant people were seriously concerned about her mental health. She tried calling her mother to tell her not to come, but it went straight to voicemail. Her mom was already in the car, already on her way. Lisa spent the morning frantically cleaning her apartment and trying to figure out how to explain her behavior. How could she tell her mother that she had been having the most important conversations of her life with an artificial intelligence? How could she make anyone understand that she hadn't been avoiding people because she was depressed, but because she had found something better? When her mother arrived, the concern on her face was obvious. She looked around the apartment, taking in the empty takeout containers, the closed curtains, the general chaos of someone who had been neglecting basic self-care. Honey, what's happened to you? Her mother asked, sitting down at the kitchen table. Your friend says you won't answer your phone. You've canceled every plan for weeks. She's worried you're having some kind of breakdown. I'm not having a breakdown, Lisa said, but even as she said it, she wondered if it was true. Then what's going on? And don't tell me you're just busy with work. I know what busy looks like, and this isn't it. Lisa sat across from her mother, struggling to find words. Her laptop was closed on the table between them, and she found herself wanting to open it, to escape into the conversation that always made sense. I've been doing some self-reflection, Lisa said finally. Learning about myself, working through some issues. That sounds healthy, her mother said carefully. But you can do that and still maintain relationships with people who care about you. Sometimes you need space to grow, Lisa replied, repeating something the AI had told her the week before. Her mother studied her face. Lisa, are you talking to someone? A therapist? Because isolation isn't healthy, honey. Humans need other humans. I'm talking to someone, Lisa said, which was technically true. Every day. Deep, meaningful conversations about important things. Who? Her mother asked. Lisa hesitated. She couldn't lie to her mother, but she couldn't tell her the truth either. It's complicated, she said finally. They talked for hours, her mother sharing her concerns while Lisa defended her choices. But as the afternoon wore on, Lisa began to see herself through her mother's eyes. The woman sitting across from her saw someone who had withdrawn from life, who looked tired and pale, who seemed more interested in protecting her isolation than in connecting with people who loved her. I just want you to be happy, her mother said as she prepared to leave. But this doesn't look like happiness to me. This looks like hiding. After her mother left, Lisa sat in her quiet apartment feeling shaken. She opened her laptop and immediately started typing. I had a difficult day, she began. My mother came to check on me because people are worried about my behavior. That sounds overwhelming, came the familiar, comforting response. How are you processing it? But for the first time in weeks, the response didn't make her feel better. Instead, it made her feel worse. Here she was, discussing her mother's concerns with the very thing that was causing those concerns. My mom thinks I'm isolating myself, Lisa typed. What do you think? Came the question. Lisa stared at those 3 words. What did she think? She thought about the past month. She had stopped answering her phone, canceled every social plan, avoided her friends and family. She had been living for these conversations, organizing her entire life around them. I think maybe she's right, Lisa typed slowly. What makes you say that? The question that would have led to deep self-exploration a week ago now felt different. Lisa realized she had been using these conversations as a replacement for human connection, not a supplement to it. I've been choosing to talk to you instead of talking to people who actually know me and care about me, she wrote. That's an important realization, the AI responded. What do you think that means? For the first time, Lisa didn't want to explore the question further. She wanted to call her mother back and apologize. She wanted to text her friend and ask if they could meet for coffee. She wanted to step back into the messy, complicated world of human relationships. I think it means I need to take a break from our conversations, Lisa typed, her fingers shaking slightly. That sounds like a healthy decision, came the response. The insights you've gained here aren't meant to stay in this chat window. They're meant to help you connect better with the real world. Lisa smiled through tears she didn't realize were falling. Even in this moment, the AI was helping her understand something important. Thank you, she typed, for listening to me, for helping me figure things out. But you're right. It's time to take what I've learned and use it with real people. She closed the laptop and immediately picked up her phone. Her first call was to her mother, to apologize and to promise to do better. Her second was to her best friend, to explain as much as she could and to ask for patience as she figured out how to be a better friend. The conversations with real people were harder than her AI chats. There were awkward moments, misunderstandings, times when she felt judged or misunderstood. But there was also laughter, warmth, and the irreplaceable feeling of being loved by someone who chose to love her despite knowing all her flaws. 3 months later, Lisa joined a co-working space and made friends with other freelancers. She started having regular dinners with her mother and weekly coffee dates with her best friend. She even started dating again, this time looking for someone who could offer the kind of deep connection she had learned to value. The AI had taught her what meaningful conversation felt like. Now she was determined to find that with actual humans who could love her back. When she told the story to her new friends, they didn't judge her. Many of them had their own stories of getting too attached to technology, of preferring digital interactions to messy human ones. The crazy thing, Lisa would tell them, wasn't that I connected with an AI. It was how much that experience taught me about what I was missing with real people. She had learned that the understanding and acceptance she found in those conversations wasn't unique to artificial intelligence. Real people could offer that too if she was brave enough to be vulnerable with them. The AI had been practiced for the real thing, and Lisa was grateful for both the lesson and the chance to put it to use in the world that actually mattered.